po nila sa ating mga kababayan sa lungsod ng Baguio na hindi pa po nagpapabakuna at latest update patungkol po sa ating vaccination rollout with Dr. Celia Flor Brillante. Sana ho ba tayo in terms of our vaccination?
Okay, so we're almost, hopefully today, we hit the 95%, no, for those individuals who had their initial dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, no? And yesterday, we hit the 80% of fully immunized individuals in the city of Baguio. So really, we are into the road of herd immunity. We had the booster doses of our A1, A2, and A3 starting last Tuesday, November 23, and we were able to get a total of 3,045. For the 12 to 17-year-old population, our pediatric population, okay, we are now into 23,120, more than 50% of the, more or less 40, we're looking into the 50% of the total, almost 43,000.
Yes, ma'am. So in terms of, well, the percentage or number of unvaccinated, which is, we don't understand yan po, magiging target po natin sa 3 araw na bakunahan, ano po, National Vaccination Day po natin for next week. Mga ilan ho ba yung ating target dito and how do we reach them, ma'am?
Yes, we're looking at around 66,000 unvaccinated pa, no? So, marami po tayong A4, no, na hindi pa nababakunahan. We always interview them during our vaccination rollout, and talaga naman pag weekends, it's the only time that they can get out of their work. Kasi nga naman talagang they have to continue working. But we are now appealing to the employers to support, no, the vaccination rollout and to allow our working sector workers to go to the different vaccination sites. Okay, so there will be schedules of our big sites from November 29 to December 1. From Monday to November 29 to December 1, we have 2 big sites at a time. However, the Baguio Country Club will open from November 29 to November 30, and we have the Athletic Bowl to open on Wednesday. And in between are different district vaccination sites. If we only had around 6 na district vaccination sites like Atab, Irisan, Asin, Quezon Hill, City Camp, 5. Now we're looking at more than 14 district vaccination sites in the city of Baguio. So if you would allow me to see at the total of the district vaccination sites, there will be a lot in one district, no? So marami pong iikot. Hindi lang po malalaking mga sites ang open, kundi po they now go barangay, no? They now bring the vaccines to the people para walang rason, dahil alam po natin hopefully maging holiday yung 3 araw na yon. So wala nang rason na yung mga working sector din natin ay hindi makakapunta, no? Dahil nga naman ay andun na, wala naman na silang pasok, or if ever the vaccines are brought to the communities already. So it will be full force, no? Full force rollout of the vaccination from November 29 to December 1 to support the National Vaccination Days.
Yes, if I may, Sir Rico,
Yes,
no?
go ahead.
Doc, isa po sa, well, naging predicament po ng ilang mga areas, sa Baguio City, hindi ho ba tayo nagkakaproblema in terms of supply po ng syringes? And ito ho ba'y, if we could check, dahil we understand ito po pinag-usapan din po sa planning workshop po ninyo, syringes, manpower, ano po ang ating preparation?
Yeah, if we're looking at the 0.3 that we need for the Pfizer na ating mga first and second dose and booster shots, we have syringes na naka-reserve din, no? Even if the DOH will not be able to provide us the sufficient amount of the syringes, meron hong naka-ready po ang HSO. Even for our 0.25 for Moderna na booster shots, for our A1, 2, and 3, meron po tayong nakalaan para dyan, para lang po ay we can fill in the gap, no, yung ating mga pagkukulang sa syringes. Perhaps madidelay lang po ang ibibigay ng ating DOH, but we are also prepared for that delay.
Kumusta po, Doc, kumusta ho ang number of vaccines so far na nandito sa ating lungsod, and ano po ang availability ng mga ito, kung meron ho ba tayong breakdown kung ilan po ang mga iba't ibang brands natin and na still available for the citizens of Baguio?
Yes, opo. Tingnan po natin. Ano po? Okay, so, as of yesterday, no, November 23, on hand, sa Sinovac po, meron po tayong first dose of 2,866 doses. Ang second doses naman is always assured na mabibigyan po ang ating mga second dosers, more or less 4,500. AstraZeneca, we have first dose of 2,140, a second dose of 18,810. Moderna, we have 8,908 for the first dose. Second dose is 7,086. For Pfizer, which is given to our priority pediatric population, first dose 9,342. Ang second dose is 19,314. We have Gamaleya, no, 1,800. Nabawasan na po as of yesterday, so meron po tayong 1,798. Tapos yung second dose is ready. We will not be waiting for the second dose of Gamaleya because we have it on hand already.
Nag-umpisa na rin po ang booster shots ho natin dito sa lungsod ng Baguio.
Yes,
am I
sir.
right, Doc?
Opo.
Opo.
Yeah.
Doc, ilan po ang mga nabakunahan na po sa mga priority groups ho natin, like the health workers and the...
3,000, around 3,000, almost 3,100 na po. Bakit ganito kaliit? It's because they follow the 6 months interval, no, from the second dose. So, of course, kung ang November 24 ngayon at May 24 yung last na second dose nila. So, from March 29 to May 24, ganun din po, hindi pa kadami na nagbigay na tayo ng first and ng second dose that time. So, as we go on, we will realize na marami din po talagang darating na magbo-booster dose because we are following the 6 months interval from the second dose to the booster dose. Ganun po yun.
And so far, yung ating supply ho, kakasya naman ho para ho dun sa ating third or booster shots.
Yeah,
ho.
kakasya for now, yeah. Well, we are hoping na marami pa rin naman darating na mga vaccines, and so we are just accommodating as many para lang po we can really also they can also be contented with their protection against COVID-19.
Yes, Doc. Just a rejoinder, Doc, ano po, dahil ito po yung naging question, dahil pag hindi po nila nabasa doon po sa inyong advisory na dapat natapos yung 6 months from the last dose, ano, sa second dose po nila. Siguro, may mabigyan lamang po ng, mas matindi pang paglilinaw. Ito pa yung mga tinatanong kung kailan daw po yung booster shots ng mga senior citizens.
Yes.
So, makakaiba po yung schedule po niyan. Depende po doon sa last date of their second dose, ma'am.
So, those who were given second doses of the Sinovac, nakita naman po natin, ito yung mga maagang nabigyan, yung mga maagang mga vaccines, no? Sinovac, AstraZeneca, we were giving it already last March. Then, so, meron na, at that time kasi ang AstraZeneca, we're given 10 weeks after. So that, we expect na itong May pa lang sila magsa-second dose. Ang Sinovac after 28 naman, 28. So if we started March 1, March 29, no, that was the second dose, then they are now eligible to get the booster dose. So as long as yung last na dose nila, na second dose, nakuha nila 6 months ago, then they are now eligible. To make it just easier, itong November 24, ang last na second dose nila was May 24. So let's say June 8 po kami, di December 8 po nila, pwedeng makuha ang booster dose nila para mas madali. Tapos pag July naman, July 1, sa January 1 sila mabibigyan ng kanilang booster dose. para po mas madali pong hindi na ho tayo nagbibilang ng 6 months na yan, no? Kaya syempre ni-expect natin, so kukonti pa lang ho nakapag second dose from March 29 to May 24, and people were so adamant on it, were still adamant, and they were just looking at us. They wait and see what will happen, no? So marami pa hong So parang expected naman po itong mga numbers na to na nagbo-booster shots.
Yes, hopefully satisfied na po si Sir Benjamin Diaz Sr. Yan po yung kanyang katanungan. Ano po? So, mahalaga pong tignan po natin yung schedule po natin kasi andun naman po yung vaccination certification natin. Ano?
Yes,
Nakikita kung
opo.
saan yung yung pinakahuling dose natin.
Yeah, tama, no? And I would like to remind the PIO to put out a dashboard on how paano ko ba malalaman na kung kailan ang second dose ko para makapagbilang din ako. So they just have to go back to bakuna.baguio.gov.ph, then they search their name, then makikita na ho nila yung profile nila kung kailan ho sila nag-second dose. Makikita naman po doon kung anong date sila nag-second dose, makikita sa certificate. Kaya pag nakita ho nila na May 24, ngayong araw na to pwede na akong magpabakuna. So yung mga iba na hindi nakakaalam kung paano nila, kailan ba ako nag-second dose? Yung mga tanong na yon. So they just have to go back to the website and look for their name. May mga tinatanong doon po na mga personal na questions para you can get into your account. Ayan po.
Alright. Doc, ang tanong ho ng ating mga kababayan, halimbawa po, Sinovac yung itinurok sa akin 6 months for the second shot, 6 months ago, at eligible na po na mag-booster shot. Sinovac pa rin ho ba ang ituturok or pwede na ho silang mamili ng ibang brand para ho sa booster shot nila?
Yes po, they're given the same brand or a different brand. The same brand, ang tawag po dyan, homologous, no? The same. Pero pagka gusto pa nilang mag-try ng Pfizer, heterologous po ang tawag doon. So, they have a choice, no? Pwede mag-Sinovac, pwede pang mag-Pfizer, mag-Moderna, mag-AstraZeneca. Ganun po yun.
In relation to that question, Doc, sabi ho dito ng ating question from, I think, sa Facebook, Doc, can you give Pfizer to vaccinees who prefer the brand, particularly to pregnant and lactating women and OFWs?
Yes.
Pwede
Yes. No problem ho yan.
Ayun.
Mag OFW, insigida, bibigyan namin ng Pfizer.
Ayun.
Pagka A3 na buntis and breastfeeding po, so A3 po sila, then we give the Pfizer if that's what they want. But still, we're not saying it's only Pfizer. No, may Moderna din po dyan.
Ayun.
Okay, so, yan.
Ito ho, may isa pa hong katanungan dito. Can you give booster shots to those who did not have their first and second dose in Baguio? Mukhang kakailanganin muna nila ng first and second dose yata bago mag-booster shot. Ano po?
Opo, yeah. If they belong to, we are so considerate, no? Yan naman ang laging sinasabi ng ating City Health Officer, Be considerate, pati si Mayor. Okay, if they are from the City of Baguio, kung bakit kasi nakarating sila doon na COVID pandemic somewhere out there, okay, and now they're here, kailangan lang mag-booster shot. As long as they're from Baguio, okay na po yun. Magbibigay po tayo ng booster shot.
Ayun. May isa pa ako, Brother Jong. Kumusta ho yung ating pediatric vaccination, Doktora? And sabi ho ng DOH, about 1% lang daw ho ng mga nabakunahan na pediatric ang nagkakaroon ng medyo mild reactions to it. Ganon din ho ba sa atin dito sa lungsod na Baguio, ma'am?
Less than 1% perhaps kasi alam mo yung medyo natatakot sila kaya yung iba namumutla. Namumutla, tapos parang nahihilo, okay? So these are our teenagers na natatakot from the start.
Yes.
So they are so anxious about taking the vaccine, and so they really just have to overcome it. And after that, medyo basta they bring sweets, no? They bring candies para pagkatapos they can chew because of their anxiousness.
And beside dun ho sa COVID-19 vaccines na ating pinupush ngayon, meron pa ho mga vaccines na ibinibigay po sa iba't ibang distrito ho sa atin na para ho sa mga PDA ho natin. Tama ho ba, Dr.?
Yes po, sir. Yes
Opo.
po. Meron po yan.
Ayan. So just
Even the district mobile vaccinations of the
Opo.
city of Baguio, no? Lahat ng 16 yan, pag hindi sila duty sa ating mga big sites, talagang activated yan. Wala talagang nagsistay lang sa health center. They go around and look for, especially for our A2s, kasi marami pa rin hong, well, this time, wala na pong namamatay gaano, no? So, nakita naman natin yung mga unvaccinated na above 50 and above 60 ay doon kakaroon po tayo ng problema doon.
Doc, paano ho kapag nakalimutan ko na may 6 months na pala after my second dose, pwede pa ho bang tumanggap ng third dose nito?
Okay po, basta po onwards. Ibig sabihin, November 24 onwards.
Ayun. Okay.
po, yes.
Alright. Thank you, Doc. Oo.
Yes, sir.
Ayan, bibigyan muna natin ng break si Doc
Doktora,
Sen.
oo.
Ayan, alam nyo, araw-araw po, very busy po si Dr. Celia Flor Brillantes. Kasama rin po natin mula po sa tanggapan po ng CDRMO, ang ating local Disaster Risk Reduction Management Officer 2, si Sir Bagayaw. Sir, good afternoon po.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Yes, sir. Well, yung paksa natin ngayon, Sir Rico, no, tungkol dito sa community-based monitoring system po natin, disaggregated na tinatawag.
Yes, Sir Jong and Sir Rico at sa ating mga tagapakinig. Para po sa impormasyon ng ating mga tagapakinig at tagapanood, ang purpose po ng community-based monitoring system ay ito po ay isang napirmahang batas noong 2019 na kung saan sinasabi nito na dapat bawat LGU meron tayong data. Saan natin gagamitin tong datang ito? Gagamitin natin tong datang ito para sa ating mga plans, projects, and activities. So once we have the complete picture of how our city and our residents look like on a map, on a 2D scale, mas madali para sa ating mga planners kung ano yung dapat i-prioritize na projects. So from this information that we have, we can come up with a well-informed, number one, comprehensive land use plan. Second, we can have proper risk assessment. And then, isa sa purpose din nito is para we could allocate our resources and infrastructures of the cities. And also, we can develop and improve our programs and process relative to the delivery of basic services such as health, education, employment, housing, agriculture, infra, sa DRRM, and other socio-economic activities. So ilan lang ito kasama Jong and kasama Rico na sa mga benefits na pwede nating makuha from this endeavor.
Sir, how do you collect data ngayon? Pandemic, paano ho tayo nakakolekta ng data and we go from barangay to barangay ho ba, sir?
Yes, we have hired a number of enumerators, around 400 plus enumerators were hired. And then may mga team supervisor po ito and area supervisors. Basically, the city was divided into 16 areas. May isang area supervisor and then may per area supervisor, meron silang 5 team supervisor. And per team supervisor, meron siyang 5 enumerators. So, going back to your question, yes, we do house to house. But before we did that, we ensured that all enumerators, team supervisors, and area supervisors were already vaccinated. And before their vaccination, they had a 5-day training para maintindihan nila yung entire process ng community-based monitoring system because it requires use of tablet, and then there's the system that they have to be familiar with, and then may mga certain terms like BUSN, serial numbers, housing serial numbers. Na from this information, makikita natin kung ilan ba talaga ang building sa isang space, sa isang barangay. And then from there, our barangay officials could already infer kung ilan sa, like for instance, in application ng disaster risk reduction, malalaman nila kung ilan sa constituents nila ang possibly at risk. So again, going back, this information, this data is really important para we could come up with a well-informed DRM plan, CLUP, and all of the required plans na kailangang i-prepare ng city.
Sir, ito ho bang mga data na ito paano ho kapag meron na ho sila yung tinatawag natin na BIMP, yung Baguio in My Pocket, is this redundant to the job po ng Philippine Statistics Authority, sir?
Actually, this endeavor is led by the Philippine Statistics Authority. What the law says is kapag highly urbanized city ka, you fund your own. But if you belong to 5th and 6th class municipality, this will be funded by the national government.
Ayun. Okay. So, Jong.
Yes, sir. Ano ba yung pinagkaiba po niyan? We do understand, meron pong mga database na po, ano, ang LGU Baguio, yung mga barangay po natin. Since yung PSA, they have their own format kasi national po yung standard format po niyan. So, adaptation ho pa yung gagawin natin. So, meron ho bang konting innovation, pagbabago po in terms of course yung mga questions or details na kukunin po nila per household?
Yes, kasamang Jong. If you ever had your parang census before, kapag may kumatok po sa bahay niyo before, it only takes a while. Now, for this endeavor, it would take approximately 2 hours to 3 hours. Some would reach even 4 hours, depending on the family size. So may mga information dito like economic information, magkano yung sahod mo, how's your highest educational attainment per household member. And meron ding information na tatanungin na ilan sa mga household members mo ang nagkasakit for the past few months. So from this, parang it's really disaggregated, and then from the questionnaire na gagamitin, talagang marami tayong makukuhang indicators which would also serve as our guide in attaining our sustainable development goals na naka-anchor din sa national goals natin. So this project is first, and then parang first for the city, and the law requires that we need to conduct it every 3 years.
Every 3 years po ito. Oo.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
kailan po nag-start ang ating community-based monitoring system, sir? And when is the expected date na matatapos po yung buong lungsod ng Baguio?
Well, sir, for the information of everyone, the enumeration in some barangays has already started. So, barangays Irisan, Asin, and some parts of Bacakeng, they already started. I think they're already on their 3rd or 4th week, if I'm not mistaken. And then for this week, we deployed around 2 areas. And then for tomorrow, we will deploy additional, if I'm not mistaken, around 150 enumerators more. So this will last for approximately 52 days, but that's only for the enumeration period. After enumeration period, may data processing pa yan, and then a series of workshops on how to interpret the data. And then from there, what we see is probably we could finish around second or mid-third quarter next year. Para mai-present yung entire data and then how we can use the actual data.
Sir, for example, sir, since we are in a pandemic, those people or those citizens of Baguio who are locked out from Baguio, or nandun sa ibang probinsya at nandun ho sila nung na-lockdown doon, would they still be included in the next few months for this monitoring system?
Well, there are certain categories, sir, na parang kung sino ang mga dapat ma-include as household members.
Ayun.
Like for instance, for OFW, if they intend to come back within the next 5 years, they will be included as a household member. For those who are working outside of Baguio City, there are categories like if they intend to come back or if they're already there for the past, there's a certain distinction. I'm not just familiar with it, but the enumerators, team supervisors are trained kung sino ang mga dapat nilang i-consider as household member.
Yes, sir. Initially, dahil sinimulan na po natin to, ano po yung mga feedback na nakuha po natin doon po sa mga respondents, knowing of course it takes some of their time. So ano po yung mga nakuha po natin initial feedback?
Well, initially, we received several complaints, but these complaints were already addressed. What we only want the public to know is the data that will be gathered here would really be used when it comes to planning. Sabi nga ng City Budget Office, may kwento ang bawat kwenta. When we enroll our plans, programs, and activities for the annual budget, hindi lang siya basta hinuhugot na lang sa hangin. But it will be based from data. Like for instance, if Barangay ABC would appear na parang he needs more educational or social protection services because of the data that we gathered through CBMS, then that would be a strong argument for additional funding. So, together with the barangay officials, we have already discussed ways on how to influence our residents na they need to participate in this endeavor. Although hindi talaga maiwasan na parang, of course, 2 hours and then you're divulging some private information. But rest assured to our residents that our enumerators are trained when it comes to data privacy. So this data that will be gathered will only be used for its sole purpose, which is for planning purposes.
Yes, sir. Mukhang mahirap kasi magbigay ng information, especially pag magkano yung sweldo. Baba? Isa sa pinakamahirap.
Ayaw i-divulge, di ba?
Oo.
Ayaw ibigay mga presyo ng kanilang sweldo.
Ito po yung question mula po sa ating netizen. Will the CBMS serve as basis if there will be ayuda?
Definitely. Yan din po yung isang magiging parang basis ng social services natin, mga social protection services. Hindi na lang siya based on previous data, but it's really based on the actual data that we have. So, for the social amelioration program, medyo nagkaroon ng challenges din during that time because we don't have the actual data. But eventually, sana, we're not looking forward for another ayuda.
Yes.
But we're looking for more social protection programs.
Sir, what are the ages na kinukuha ng mga data ng ating mga enumerators dito sa CBMS natin?
You mean yung age group po ng enumerators?
Yes.
Or yung
yung mga kinokolekta ng yung mga respondents po?
lahat po ng household members.
Okay. So even the infants will be makukuhanan din ng data, tama?
There's what they term as a reference point if they were born on or before
Ayun.
October 1st, I think. So, yun yung parang magiging basis.
Ayan, okay. So, wag ho matatakot yung ating mga magulang at yung mga ating mga nasa household at well-trained ho ang mga enumerators o yung mga nangongolekta ho ng data natin. And sinesecure ho yan ng ating City Government of Baguio. Alright?
Yan, 2 punto lamang kasamang Rico bago yung katanungan ng ating mga kasamaan. Sir, syempre yung question in terms of security of
Also, para gamitin siya for campaign purposes, I think we're not in that direction naman kasi ang sabi nga po sa batas is primary use for planning. So, bawal po siyang gamitin. We are under the data privacy law. All of our enumerators were informed naman, were trained, were oriented regarding the data privacy law.
Opo. Sir Sir, kumbaga may mga scam text na kumakalat ngayon. Ngayon, we'd like to assure yung ating mga listeners, mga televiewers, paano nila ma-identify na lehitimo po yung mga enumerators na kumakatok sa kanila. Baka humamaya, iba ho ito, may mga mag-misrepresent ng mga tao na medyo iba ang pag-iisip. Sir, can you give us a tip para ko sa ating mga kaibigan?
Oo naman, Sir Rico. Regarding that, we have coordinated with our barangay officials. Our barangay officials will be there. If you are in doubt of kung sino man ang kumakatok sa inyo, you may coordinate with your barangay officials because we will be giving them a list of those who will be assigned in their barangay. And also, aside from their, we have also issued identification cards to our enumerators. So, rest assured to our residents that these enumerators are well-equipped, well-trained, and they will not take advantage of whatever information that you will divulge.
Thank you, Sir Sir. Handa na po yung ating mga kasamaan sa media. Si Mr. President Alvin Quetzal.
Habang hinihintay natin si
Of,
Sir
Daily
Alvin.
Tribune.
Oo. Ito muna siguro para quickly kay Doktora. Doc Sel, sabi po dito, kailan po mababakunahan ang 5 years old to 11 years old? Yung mga 11 years old and below?
Yeah. Oh, wala pa hong advisory po. Yeah, we are still waiting. Yes po.
Sir Alduin, Mr. President, sir?
Ay. Kuni Sir Sear, kay Sir C. Etong CBMS na ito, paano maiha-harmonize yung mga makukuhang data sa nakuhang data noon ng LIDAR? LIDAR.
Yes. Yung results po sa LiDAR, pwede po siyang, if we will use yung QGIS, it's another technical tool na pwede siyang i-overlay doon sa barangay map or doon sa city map natin. And with that, pwede naman nating i-overlay yung risk maps natin. And we could already parang categorize kung yung area na yon within that barangay is really high-risk area. So, yung results po ng LiDAR is can be integrated po sa ating QGIS. But going back, kasi pag when you conduct yung CBMS, meron din po siyang output na parang maps. So from this, we will be able to map out talaga in a 2D information kung ano po yung talagang, for example, in one parcel of land, meron siyang how many buildings, makikita talaga natin. And then we could overlay yung information natin regarding sa LiDAR. We could overlay yung information natin regarding sa landslide susceptibility. So, yung information na ito, it has endless possibilities. Depende na lang po kung sino yung gagamit.
Okay. Thank you.
Salamat, Aldwin. Susunod po si Manong Romy of DCRH. Napagod sa Zumba kanina. Ayan, si Jorton of PTV Cordillera.
Magandang hapon po. 20 po ang aking question. Joke lang. Okay. Doc Sel, sorry po, late ako kanina. Hindi ko naabutan siguro yung... May actual, yung specific number po ng target natin for the 3-day national vaccination drive. Ilan po, Doc?
Yeah, okay. Around 66,000 po na,
66,000.
na
Okay.
unvaccinated.
Okay po.
Yes po.
Second po, Doc, ano po bang sistema dun sa invite natin ng mga magpapa-booster shot? Kasi yung second day po nung
Yesterday.
second day ng booster shot ng mga A1 pa lang po, nagkaroon na ng problema kasi yung mga iba naabisuhan, maraming na-textan, tapos nung nakarating na sila sa vaccination site, na-found out na kulang pa daw sila ng 6 months, pero na-text po sila ng LGU ba or City Health po?
Yeah, okay. So nagkakaroon tayo ng problema doon sa text, no? But we had it for around 7 days, no, of text. And now, yung booster doses, pati yung PEDYA, open to all barangays, walk-in na. Hindi na po tayo magbe-base sa mga text po na yan. Kasi nagkakaroon rin ho talaga tayo ng problema. We just tried that because we really need to control the crowd, yung pagpupunta ho sa ating mga sites. But now na medyo it's kumukonti naman na, so we are now just accommodating mga walk-ins na pumupunta sa lahat ng sites. All barangays open po.
Alright po. Sa booster shot, meron na po tayong booster shot na rin sa ating senior and A3. But meron pa po tayong na-account, Doc, na mga seniors na hindi pa nagpapakuna kahit isang dose pa lang?
Oo,
At
madami-dami.
ano pong pangunahin pa ring rason po ng mga itong taong tudok?
Natatakot lang sila. May fear of the vaccine. Oo. Dahil sa mga naririnig nila sa mga barkada ho nila. Yes.
Okay po. Isa pa po. Follow up na lang po ito, Doc. Kunti na lang po. Meron po ba nabagit nyo kanina yung supply ng ating vaccines? May asahan po ba tayo na additional vaccines na binili ng LGU or wala na po, asa na lang po tayo sa DOH po for the supply?
Well, may mga purchases kasi tayo na AstraZeneca. I don't know when it will stop also, but now we're looking into a lot of second doses already. So kailangan pa ho natin ng additional na vaccines, no, from the national to cover the booster shots. Even later on, the booster shots for the A4, A5, let's say kung papayag po, kung may advisory na ho yan, that we need additional vaccines.
Last na lang po, Doc. Sabi po nakapagtala na po tayo ng single digit na kaso dito sa Baguio City, and yesterday 11 na lang yung nalista natin. And sabi po ng NTF advisor, isang doktor doon sa national, yung sitwasyon daw natin sa Philippines is parang masasabi na kontrolado na daw po. Yung bang single digit or yung 11 cases na lang sa Baguio, do we say na kontrolado na rin po, Doc? Thank you po.
Yeah. Well, for the past 2 weeks, ganyan na tayo, nang nagsisingle numbers na tayo, no? Digits tayo sa COVID. But come to think of it, we opened the city of Baguio to tourists as late as October, and it is more than a little more than 1 month already, no? So 3 weeks na po, more than 3 weeks na po tayo. So kung if ever that there is an additional upsurge of COVID cases, no, at nahawaan po ang ating mga residents, no, from our tourists. Sana ngayon nakikita po natin. But the vaccination rollout has given proof that really it protects us, give us additional protection to the infection. So the risk that we have right now is less than the risk that we had last year because of the vaccination rollout, and that, of course, no, yung maintenance pa rin natin ng minimum health protocol, like using this mask, no. So talagang mukhang yun na yun, no? These are the real cases that we have, and we hope that it will not increase, no? And let's not just put our guards down. Let's still all cooperate and do our thing para naman po ay makatulong po tayo sa problema at hindi po tayo magiging problema.
Just a follow-up dun po sa few cases na lang po natin. Ano pong sector or group po itong mga few cases na lang, Doc?
Yung mga few cases natin, I still have to see the kasi. Okay. Mga cases po natin ay just give me time.
Yes, habang antabayanan natin itong data from Dr. Celia Flor Brillantes. Ayan, specific economic sector na hindi pa nabakunahan.
Yeah.
Correct.
Opo.
Yan, nabanggit nga Sir Rico na sa government sector hindi naman 100% pang nabakunahan lahat.
Yes. Oo.
Yes, oo.
Meron pa rin mga agam-agam yung ibang mga kababayan ho natin. Pero ayun na nga, ang mahirap kasi doon yung sinasabi nila na pagka hindi ka bakunado, hindi ka mabibigyan ng privilege na pumasok sa isang establishmento, makapagtrabaho na mabuti, o di kaya mabigyan ng mga kaukulang mga ayuda or whatever. No? Yun ang medyo nakakatakot din na sitwasyon dahil sa hindi pa bakunado. Bukod dun sa proteksyon
Yes,
na mibibigay ng bakuna sa ating katawan.
Yes, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Out of the 11, 6 belong to the reproductive age group. And tatlo ay senior citizens. And then we have a 17-year-old. Okay, and so ganun po, no? So majority belong to the reproductive age group. Perhaps these are the working sector that they go out oftentimes and still they get the virus, no? But yung transmission rate natin has gone down already. Even your positivity rate, less than 5%. So, we hope na dire-diretso na to. No? Diluted na masyado yung ating cases na none of us may not be able to catch it already unless really we expose ourselves too much okay? Not using the mask, talking a lot to a lot of people without any mask. So, yan na po talagang ating kailangang gawin. Huwag masyadong makipag-usap ng matagalan sa ating mga kasama para maiwasan ho natin masagip ang COVID-19 virus.
Okay, last one follow-up, sir, please. Nabanggit ni Mayor last 2 weeks siguro yun na dahil nga po sa pagbaba ng kaso, 2 isolation daw po ang temporary isasara. Nagsara na po ba, Doc? At ano po ang mga ito? Ano pong mga ito po?
We are waiting to, to release all the inpatients, no? Hopefully by November 30, wala na po, magko-close down na po ang ating mga ibang mga isolation like the Teachers Camp and the Laurel and the Pink House. So, maiwan pong magsaysay hall for the OFWs and non-OFWs. Maiwan pong ating Baguio City Community Isolation Unit dyan sa Santo Niño.
Thank you, Jordan. Susunod po si Reniel Lagundran of Baguio Chronicle.
Good afternoon po. Sa mga naunang batches po ng booster rollout, nakapagtala na po ba tayo ng adverse effect o malalang adverse effect sa mga nauna na po nating na-boosterin?
Swelling at the site of injection, low fever, sleepiness, which also I experienced, medyo body weakness. So ito lang, they just take the antipyretic or paracetamol, sleep, rest for the next 2 days kasi after you will be injected, the next day pa ho kayo nakakaramdam ng mga mild reactions na to. But some really some lang, no? A few of these booster shots lang. Pero yung iba, okay po sila.
Okay po. Ngayong naipatupad na po na hindi na po masyadong gumagamit ng face shields, paano po mas maa-assure ang public na hindi na po lalaganap ang hawaan ng COVID?
Okay, the face shield, I think, is maybe implemented to those establishments who really want to have it. Let's say for SM, medyo nabawasan na rin po, no? Especially mga closed settings, malls, kung if they still need to implement the face shield, okay lang po. But the face shield may really add may give additional protection. However, because of the low transmission and low positivity rates that we are having, of course, the lesser risk that we will be having the COVID-19. But yung mga basic na ginagawa natin, not talking too much, not staying long within a group, will help a lot, no, to lessen the transmission of COVID-19.
Okay po. Sa educational sector naman po, mapapansin po natin na sa ibang balita, nakakapag-pilot class na po ang mga elementary schools. Do you think makakapag-advise po ba kayo sa CHED or other universities dito sa Baguio na makapag-perform na din po ng face-to-face classes?
Yeah, ongoing ang ating communication with the DepEd and the CHED. There's a group who's talking to them right now, and there will be inspections around schools to assure that the children are protected from the infection. And as we see, they're really trying their best to limit the contacts of these children, especially during playtime. Kasi pagka school time, pagka nasa inside class, of course the teachers are there. But when they play and go around the schools, hindi na nakikita yan. So siguro really we would like to ask the schools to deploy teachers and other school officials to look around and see how the children are playing. Para sana naman kahit yung playing together, physical contact can still increase transmission. So kung pwedeng maiwasan yan, they can play naman na medyo malalayo sila sa isa't isa.
Last na po. Halos bumabalik din po yung mga students dito sa Baguio, lalo po mga med-related programs. Ano pong mga paghahanda yung ginagawa nyo kung sakaling magkakaroon na po ng face-to-face next year? Like, ipaprioritize pa rin po bang i-accommodate yung mga residents? Ano po yung mga preparations natin sa possible na pagbubukas ng school year next year po?
Yeah, no. As long as they're fully vaccinated, and those who medical students or paramedical students who really need booster shots, ayan po, no. So dapat kompleto po yung ating mga booster shots among our medical students or paramedical students or those allied medical students, no. Also yung mga college students, as long as they have the 2 doses, and that of course, kailangan din talagang maging vigilant ang medical group ng mga schools so that if there are cough and colds of their students, they should not be allowed to enter the school premises. So if we will do that and we ask everyone to cooperate, then talaga mababawasan po ang transmission ng COVID inside schools, inside classrooms.
Okay po. Last na po. Kung kayo po ang tatanungin, ano pong probability na magkakaroon na po ng face-to-face classes next year?
Ang naririnig ko kasi, hindi ko naririnig ko by January talagang So, very crucial itong December na to, with all the parties that we have, with all the gatherings that we do, and all trainings that we conduct, no, we will see by the end of this month of December, if you see that really, despite the gatherings that we have, increase of vaccination rollout among these people, then talagang the transmission rate is being maintained, and that we're looking at lowering down of our COVID cases, then really malaki ang chance na mag face-to-face tayo. Ang magandang sa face-to-face, kung pwede rin rotation, hindi lahat 100% muna. So yun sana nakikita ko as a parent, I want na sana hindi lahat 100% pumapasok yung college students, kundi sana staggered numbers para hindi naman po biglaan at baka mamaya mag-search na naman tayo ng infection.
And that would be all. Thank you po.
Alright, next magtatanong si Sherilyn Rufino from BSU, to be followed by Amang Romy Gonzalez of DZRH.
Good afternoon po, Ma'am Brillantes po. I have a question for you. Ma'am, open po ba ang booster shots for fully vaccinated travelers na hindi po OFW? International travelers po, ma'am.
As long as they belong to the priority group of A1, 2, and A3. Yun lang naman po eh. Wherever they go, basta they belong to these groups. And isipin natin, 6 months, okay? 6 months interval from the second dose to the booster shot. And that the A3, inuuna pa lang po natin ang mga immunocompromised na A3 individuals. It depends on the doctor. Kung immunocompromised ang pasyente niya, he can always recommend for the booster shots.
Alright. Would you say po, ma'am, na ang misinformation po on vaccine information is still prevalent po sa city?
Vaccine information?
Yes, ma'am. Misinformation po ng mga tungkol sa vaccine.
Misinformation.
Yes, ma'am.
I just knew it this morning, no, when I asked about bakit ngayon lang kayo nagpapabakuna kasi merong pumunta doon na it may not be misinformation. Medyo lack of information because there are really barangays who are really out of the way of the of IEC, no, medyo malalayo. And so that's the reason why we are looking at unvaccinated people during the November 29, November 30, and December 1. It is their day. These unvaccinated people is their day because we will be looking for them. We will be now talking to them a lot and vaccinating them. So we will look for these unvaccinated people, and that kung ano man ang misinformation na alam nila, we will be able to turn it around and let them be vaccinated.
Okay. Ma'am, matagal na po bang nasa-celebrate ang National Vaccination Day or ngayon lang po na pandemic?
Ngayon lang naman po. Ngayon lang naman.
Okay,
Yes.
For Sir Sir po, sir, optional po bang pagbibigay ng data for the CBMS? Or can the residents po say no kapag may nagsusurvey po?
Well, participation of the CBMS is voluntary. But again, we need this information para we could have a better picture on how the city looks like and what the city needs. So again, from this information that we will gather, we will come up with a well-informed plan, and then our projects, programs, activities will be evidence-based. So we are all geared towards evidence-based planning. So yun po, to our residents who are thinking na yung data na makuha from this endeavor would be compromised, rest assured that it will not be compromised and will not be used for anything else. And then going back to the Data Privacy Act, na if it's part of the mandate of the LGU, hindi po siya magfo-fall under Data Privacy Act. So because we are performing our duty and we are mandated by the law on CBMS to conduct CBMS, then we encourage our residents to join.
That's it po. Thank you.
All right, Amang Romy Gonzalez of the DZRH.
Nagising na. Anyway, good afternoon, Doc. Because of the decrease of cases and improving health situation in the city of Baguio, ano yung reaction ng ating mga health workers ngayon? Because nung kasagsagan ng surge ng mga kaso natin, nagrereklamo na sila. Sabi nila pagod na sila. Pero ngayon, ano yung reactions nila, ma'am?
Siyempre masaya because nakikita nila yung resulta ng paghihirap natin sa vaccination rollout most especially. And of course, yung contact tracing nila na sobra-sobra na until mga 3 days hindi pa nakukuha yung pasyente nila because talagang sobrang dami ng trabaho. At yung sa isolation na kailangan mag-double time din sila to take care of additional cases. Ang laking pasasalamat po ng ating mga health workers dahil nakita ho natin yung epekto ng pagod ng bawat isa sa atin. Not only health workers, no? Tayong lahat, no, stakeholders who have been here from day one up to now. Malaking pasasalamat. And we are just hoping and praying more that these cases will still go down to 0 para po makita po natin na talaga pong wala na po tayong COVID cases. If there will be, sana paisa-isa na lang po. We're looking forward to that day, to those days na wala na, then minsan isa na lang every other day until completely wala na.
Meron bang Doc, yung during kasagsagan ng surge ng case natin sa COVID-19, parang nawala na ng gana at umalis na sa trabaho at naganap na lang ng iba?
I really think so. Yeah. Medyo burnout, okay? And but you see dito sa Baguio, no, health workers, I believe that despite the hardships and yung parang helplessness na hindi pa bumababa ang kaso, I think they really they stood by. They still hold on. They held on to their faith na bababa rin po yung cases. And I think they did not quit. Our health workers in the city of Baguio did not quit. They were there to go on with whatever and see. And now they see the result of their hardships.
Are we looking yung siguro sa susunod na mga buwan na yung mga health workers natin? Kasi ang dami ng offer abroad na, they'll go out of the country and serve in other countries.
Yeah, marami po kasi tayong young health workers, no? And I think really they're also thinking about getting out of the country. But of course, we know naman na marami din po talaga na health workers na who really want to stay here and be with their families. So I think it's a balance thing that not all of our health workers will leave us and serve the other countries. Marami pa rin may iwan dito.
Oo nga,
lalo sa
pero
Baguio.
is it lesson learned for the government na sana because of the situation na naranasan ng ating mga health workers, siguro may magkaroon naman ng aumento yung kanilang mga benefits at mga sahod. Siyempre, doon kasi umaasa rin yung mga tao sa hindi lang tumutulong. Siyempre, kailangan
they will sustain their family also. Is it-
Yes, no, especially sa nurses, no? So pasalamat tayo sa Philippine Nurses Association. Tumaas po ang salary grade ng isang nurse from salary grade 15 to 16. And that means a lot, no? It's a promotion already. So it's being now implemented in the City of Baguio. Nung sinabi yan ng national, then na-implement na po dito sa City of Baguio.
Okay. Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have Miss the birthday celebrant ngayon, Madam Rose Malechan of DCWT. Happy birthday.
Thank you po. May handa po ako na burger. Good afternoon po, Doc. Sa City Health Office, hindi po related sa COVID, Doc. Pero doon sa ating social hygiene clinic, any comment or may mga monitoring na po ba kayo? Di umano bumabalik na yung mga night spot workers po natin?
Yeah, yes, we just had a meeting with the Baguio AIDS Watch Council because we will be celebrating the World AIDS Day on December 6. Ipa-plug ko po later. However, yeah, we were with the president of BAPES, Mr. Alan Bandoy, and yeah, he was telling us that the night workers are being hopeful na pwede na silang makabalik at kumita naman daw po sila. Well, because the night establishments became resto bars at night, and so these entertainers are the waitresses. They became waitresses. But they still cannot sit with the customers kasi pag sitting with customers, entertainer na po yun. And so they're again appealing to the city government to allow them now to open, the night establishments to open and give entertainment. So still it's ongoing.
So wala pa
And,
kayong recommendation po?
Ang hirap kasi dahil kailangan, it's a closed setting, which I cannot also, hindi ko ma-compromise ang health ng ating mga entertainers at this point in time. However, if they maintain to be resto bars, they maintain to be waitress, which is better than, sitting with customers and putting them at risk of having the COVID-19. Until such time that COVID cases now are zero in Baguio City, and that will be soon, I know, then perhaps we can now open other establishments already, especially our night establishments.
Despite po na pandemic, ma'am, may monitoring pa rin po ba kayo doon naman sa mga freelance na minomonitor kasi di umano doon sa mga natatanggap naming info ay meron na daw, nagbalikan na yung mga nasa may Magsaysay, Lacandula and Burnham?
Yeah, oo. Itong problema ng lagi, no? Akala natin, we are looking forward to a clean entertainment and yet, syempre, we don't see them, but we don't see them, but we hear them. Diba? So, ang anong problema natin is that really we still, the Facebook of the RHW is open to them. Even the Bonjing, we are asking them to have their checkup even if a private thing, hindi po through their night establishments. And we will be going back to the streets again and talk to them and increase awareness on STI HIV. They may be new, yung mga old, napalitan na, so mga bago na naman to. So we need to go back to the streets, ask our members of AWAC to help us to reach out to these people.
Kakayanin pa rin po ba ng schedule po ninyo considering na nakafocus po tayo sa COVID and other diseases
Marami
po?
po tayo ngayong young na HIV advocates. Meron po tayong Pilipinas Shell Foundation na nasa opisina po ngayon. They reach out to our MSM group. Yung FPOP are the HIV advocates, and now they're going around the city teaching on sex education and STI and HIV prevention. And I hope they will include our female freelancers.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Doon sa, kasi medyo bumabalik na yung ating turismo sa Baguio City, ibubuksan na po ba ulit? Or anong update po doon sa ating quarantine facility sa Teachers Camp? Mabubuksan po ba ulit for quarantine ng mga turista or OFWs?
Ay, opo, that will be maintained. Yung
okay.
magsaysay hall po, that will be maintained because there's a lot of OFWs and non-OFWs who are coming into the city and kailangan pong ma-maintain po ang magsaysay hall para ma-document po ang mga dumarating po dito sa Baguio.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes po. Thank you very much, Rose. Happy birthday.
Alright, thank you. Happy birthday. Oo. May pa-burger ka pa. Ha? Ito, Doc Sel, may tanong ko dito. Sabi dito, mag-aalaw ho ba kayo ng volunteers doon sa 3 days na bayanihan, bakunahan? At may allowance po ba yung mga magbo-volunteer?
Yeah, volunteers nga po eh. Yeah, we have not given any allowance from day one to our volunteers. Mga volunteers pa nga natin, sila rin ang nagpo-provide ng sarili nilang food and they also share. So at this point in time, we need also help from them, from our partners. No? Sana we cannot provide the additional whatever.
Pero you're open po for volunteers?
Yes, please.
Alright.
Please give a private message to the Facebook of HS Health Services Office so that we can also acknowledge you.
Ayan. Doc, kumusta po yung mga testing natin for antigen and RT-PCR? Meron pa po bang mga nagwo-walk-in for these? And magkakaroon po ba ng libreng RT-PCR ulit? At yung presyo daw po ba ay pwede nang bumaba kaysa sa dati?
Yung pool test bang sinasabi po?
Yes, yung
Because it's
RT-PCR
within-
po siguro ito.
RT-PCR, yes. For those who have positive antigen na dumaan po sa health center, nagiging libre din po sila because of course it's something that we have an outreach program to our own residents dito sa Baguio City. Pero yung mga yung required for them to undergo RT-PCR because of employment and travel abroad, they need to pay for their own kasi hindi naman po sila kasama sa ating yung na close contacts or na contact trace, no? So they need to pay their own if they need it for personal use po.
Okay. Kay Sir Sear, ito po ba, or hindi ko lang narinig siguro kanina, sir, the first city to do a CBMS, tama ko ba, sir? Or are there other cities na ginagawa na rin ho nila ito?
For this year, sir, there were this year would be the pilot year. So the pilot year, the objective of the pilot year is to check and then assess kung kumusta ba yung system. And for this year, the city volunteered to participate in the conduct of the pilot year of the community-based monitoring system. So like what I mentioned earlier, every LGU is mandated. So after this year, 3 years from now, we will have another CBMS. Supervisors. Yung team supervisors po ang magde-decide, didiskarte kung paano nila i-schedule ang certain household or certain building. So for now, what we observe on the ground is may kanya-kanyang diskarte yung mga team supervisors and area supervisors. And going back to your question, kung sasamahan sila, hindi po sila on day one. They will do a courtesy call with the barangay officials, yung mga team supervisors and enumerators. And then after that, if it's necessary for them to be accommodated, then it's okay. Pero most of our enumerators who were hired are most likely from adjacent barangay or from that barangay. So they know their way around. From the tablet kasi, sir, is para makikita nila kung ano ba yung pupuntahan nilang bahay. So yun yung ipipindot nila sa tablet and then yun yung i-interviewin nila.
Yes, sir. Ano pa yung mga karagdagan na baka po pwede po niyong ibahagi kung nakita po natin yung sample questionnaire dahil medyo mahaba po yan. It takes about 2 hours. Sabi nga, doon sa interview. Ano po yung mga questions dyan na, well, probably almost the same sa census of population and housing. Pero may dagdag lamang po yan.
It's not almost the same, Sir Jong. The census on population and housing takes only less than an hour, if I'm not mistaken. This one is we will get the information of every household member on education, on health, and then meron ding information na kukunin like on water sanitation, on nutrition, And then on disaster preparedness, so parang tatanungin si household, yung responsible household member, hindi naman lahat tatanungin eh. Yung responsible household member lang ang sasagot in behalf of the entire household. So, from there, parang it would take, depende sa household size, that would determine yung length of interview.
Wala pang cross-checking po yan since, well, meron na pong basic information coming from the barangay, including, of course, sa city.
Well, that's correct. If you're referring to the CPH, the previous, yung parang what we conduct every 5 years, yan is parang part of the program ni PSA. So since this law was enacted on 2019, I'm not sure, I'm not authorized to speak in behalf of PSA. But eventually, I think there's a move na magiging isang parang census activity na lang. Depende na lang yan sa mandate. Like for instance, for this one, we have parang questions on disaster preparedness, health, nutrition, peace and order. Hindi ko na alam kung ano na lang ang kukunin ni PSA. Pero PSA is the lead in this activity. The LGU will fund for this activity. They provide the technical expertise.
Okay. Kung wala na hong katanungan mula sa ating mga kasama sa media, I think pwede na nating hinga ng mga parting words ang ating mga bisita ngayong hapon na ito.
Yes.
Para ho sa mga kababayan ho natin na nakikinig at nanonood sa mga oras ito. Unahin ho natin siguro si ang ating LDRRMO Officer 2, si Sir Sir Sear, sir.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to our friends from media, to our partners from other agencies, PSA. Once again, we would like to encourage our residents to participate in this endeavor, the community-based monitoring system. Rest assured that kung ano lang yung prescribe ng ating batas on CBMS and Data Privacy Act, dito lang po natin gagamitin ang ating data. And also, rest assured that our enumerators, our team supervisors, and area supervisors that will be assigned in the field are all duly trained and they know what they're doing. And lastly, gusto ko lang sabihin na ang importance ng community-based monitoring system is all geared towards evidence-based planning. Sabi nga ng City Budget Office, may kwento ang bawat kwenta. It's high time that we use evidence in coming up with our plans, programs, and activities for the City of Baguio. Thank you.
All right, Sir Sir Bagayaw on the community-based monitoring system. All right, at ang mga words po mula sa ating City Health Services Office, ang ating Assistant City Health Services Officer, Dr. Celia Flor Villantes.
Yeah. Again, we appeal to our partners sa ating barangays, no? We go back to basic, ang ating mga partners, mga barangay officials to help us disseminate information on the National Vaccination Days, November 29, November 30, and December 1. We would also like our barangay officials to provide transportation to our residents to get to the nearest district vaccination sites within their districts and within the barangays. So they will have a meeting this Friday, and we hope really to explain more to our punong barangays. But I know that meron na po silang sulat na forward po sa ating mga punong barangays about this National Vaccination Days. And to those who have not yet been vaccinated until now, please take the chance to be vaccinated this week until next week and onwards. We hope that your hesitancy to take the vaccine will be reduced by looking around and looking at your family members, your neighbors and friends who are vaccinated but have not experienced any mild, even mild reaction, wala po. So I hope you will be now encouraged to take your vaccine. Any vaccines will do, please please approach your nearest vaccination sites. And with this, our City Health Officer, Dr. Rowena Pigalpo, would like to thank Liz Ugnayan for your invitation. Maraming salamat po.
Alright, maraming salamat po Dr. Sergio Flor Brillantes. And siyempre mga kaibigan, maraming salamat po sa mga nanood at mga nakinig ko sa iba't ibang radio stations. Ako naman po si Rico John Ferrer ng 95.9 Big Sound FM. Maraming salamat sa inyong panunood, sa inyong pakinig. Sir Jong?
Maraming salamat partner Rico, at tayo nagpapasalamat din po sa ating mga panauhin at of course sa ating mga tagapanood, mga listeners po. Hopefully, nasagot po ang inyong mga katanungan. Doon po sa hindi pa po klaro ay maaari pong tungayan po yan doon sa pagsasagot po ng ating City Public Information Office. Sa ngalan po ng ating mga kasamahan po sa Trimedia, sa Radyo Pilipinas Baguio, hanggang sa muli sa ating City Hall R, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.